welcome to Tea and Strumpets, a Regency romance review. I'm Zoe.
And I'm Kelsey.
And we're back with our first episode of 2022, and
woohoo! We're doing things.
We are, and it's one that I am excited for every year. It's like one of my favorite episodes to do. It just gets me jazzed for like the whole year of reading.
I agree. I think this is really fun. You usually put these lists together, and I'm not going to lie, you always found some really great ones that I've never heard of, and I'm like, oh my god, add.
You mentioned about, how I pull the list together and finding authors that, maybe you haven't heard of before. And that's definitely something I wanted to mention before we get going. This is a list of books that we are excited about, not that are the best ones or we're saying anything like that. And the way that I generally compile this list is like authors that I know and love, new books that are getting buzz that I think are really exciting sounding, books that are bringing a diverse or unique perspective into Regency or historical romance, and sometimes books that have great covers. I mean, like whatever kind of piques our interest or our eyes, that's what gets on this list.
Hey, nothing wrong. I know we're not supposed to judge books by their cover, but I do it all the time.
Hey, if I see it with my eyes first, and that's going to get me to click on it, and then that's going to get me to read the synopsis, you're halfway there with all of that.
Exactly.
And as I kind of have already said, this is by no means a comprehensive list.
No, we like to limit ourselves. Every year we pick the number of the end of the year. We're now up to 22 books we're putting on this list, which is a lot of books.
Hopefully I counted right. Sometimes like while I'm relabeling and moving things around to make sure it's in chronological order, like I'll skip one. So maybe we'll get to the end of this and realize that we only have 21 books, but like what, or maybe we have 23. I don't know.
Who knows? It's
Whatever.
Fine. It's all good. We've got a list and we're ready to share it with you.
Yes. And the last thing I just wanted to say is if you think we missed something that we would love or you just want to share with us, please let us know. Our email is romancepod@gmail.com.
And as we learned last year and the year before, a lot of titles have their release dates changed, sometimes more than once.
Yes.
And sometimes they don't come out at all that year.
So before we talk about what books are coming, I think we should quickly mention what books are probably not coming. And that again is going to be The Bride Bet by Tessa Dare. There's still no update on a real release date. It's been postponed, and Tessa, I'm sure, will update us as soon as there is a concrete release date for that. And as someone who has been waiting for about 10 years now for Patrick Rothfuss's third book in his series, in his fantasy series, one thing I know is it does not help to ask the author over and over and over again when their book is coming. It will come when it is ready. So it's hard to wait, but I'm sure that once it's here, it'll be fabulous.
There are also some things I have to say. I did learn this from someone I know who has written a book and it got picked up, but they've pushed back the release date to next year right now because there's a lot of supply chain issues for the publishers. Yeah. So a book that's going to be really popular, they may push back the date on now just because there's a lot of supply chain issues with things.
Makes total sense. And some of the other ones that I looked up just to see, authors that we know and love, there isn't anything announced from Julia Quinn yet as far as like a Regency or historical romance. There's nothing announced from Lisa Kleypas or Courtney Milan in the historical Regency genre at this time. And also, at some point, Scarlett Peckham's second Society of Sirens book, the first one being the Regency, had a release date. I think it was actually in 2020 that the release date was, but it has kind of not been updated. I think it says it was published May 2020. So it is forthcoming at some point. I'm excited for that. I really loved that series. So yeah. I can't wait for the next one.
I cannot either. So, while these are the books that aren't coming out, now we're going to get to the books that are, at least as far as we know at this time.
Yes. So, Kelsey, shall we take it away?
We shall. The first book on our list is The Siren of Sussex by Mimi Matthews, The Bells of London #1, which is already out. It came out on January 11th, 2022.
Oh, yeah, we never said anything about that. But yeah, since we're doing this list in March, there's a whole bunch of books that you can already buy.
Yeah. Even more exciting.
And this is one of them.
So, Victorian high society's most daring equestrian finds love in an unexpected ally in her fight for independence in the strong arms of London's most sought after and devastatingly handsome half-Indian tailor. Evelyn Maltravers understands exactly how little she's worth on the marriage mart. As an incurable blue stocking from a family tumbling swiftly towards ruin, she knows she'll never make a match in a ballroom. Her only hope is to distinguish herself by making the biggest splash in the one sphere she excels, on horseback, in haute couture. But to truly capture London's attention, she'll need a habit maker who's not afraid to take risks with his designs and with his heart. Half-Indian tailor Ahmad Malik has always had a talent for making women beautiful, inching his way towards recognition by designing riding habits for Rotten Row's infamous pretty horsebreakers. But no one compares to Evelyn. Her unbridled spirit enchants him, awakening a depth of feeling he never thought possible. But pushing boundaries comes with a cost, and not everyone is pleased to welcome Evelyn and Ahmed into fashionable society. With obstacles spanning between them, the indomitable pair must decide which hurdles they can jump and what matters most, making their mark or following their hearts.
And this book has such a fun, horsey cover. It's one of the ones that caught my eyes. And then I read the description and I was like, I really like it. It's so interesting. I love it. Like a habit maker, not just a tailor, but someone who specializes in riding habits. I mean, we're horse girls, if you don't know this about us already, listeners. And I don't actually always love reading books about horse stuff.
Yeah, I understand that.
However, I just thought this one sounded really fun and different and interesting. So it is already on my TBR.
Yes, and I will be adding it to my TBR.
So the next one is actually my next read. I cannot wait to read this book. It is Something Fabulous by Alexis Hall, and it is Something Fabulous #1 series. It was published January 25th, 2022, and it is currently free on Kindle Unlimited for March.
Ooh, exciting.
So pick it up if you've got a Kindle while you still can. From the acclaimed author of boyfriend material comes a delightfully witty romance featuring a reserved duke who's betrothed to one twin and hopelessly enamored of the other. Valentine Layton, the Duke of Malvern, has twin problems. Literally. It was always his father's hope that Valentine would marry Miss Arabella Tarleton, but unfortunately too many novels at an impressionable age have caused her to grow up romantic. So romantic that a marriage of convenience will not do, and after Valentine's proposal, she flees into the night determined never to set eyes on him again. Arabella's twin brother, Mr. Bonaventure Bonnie Tarleton, has also grown up romantic and fully expects Valentine to ride out after Arabella and prove to her that he's not the cold-hearted cad he seems to be. Despite copious misgivings, Valentine finds himself on a pell-mell chase to Dover with Bonnie by his side. Bonnie is unreasonable, overdramatic, annoying, and beautiful, and being with him makes Valentine question everything he thought he knew about himself, about love, even about which Tarleton he should be pursuing.
Ooh, that was a twist.
I know. Okay, first of all, this is another fabulous cover. I mean, I can only say fabulous. I know it's a pun of the name, but anyhow, the point is, it's such a great cover. It's such a fun description. And I actually, because I don't read contemporaries, very often at all. I haven't read any of Alexis Hall's stuff, but I went on his website and like read his FAQs, and oh my gosh, he has such just a funny voice.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait to read this book. Like his humor was just like flying off of his FAQs. So I, like I said, can't wait.
That's really exciting. Awesome. So a new author and a series with a twist.
Yes.
All right. Our third book is A Perfect Equation by Elizabeth Everett, The Secret Scientists of London #2. And that came out on February 15th, 2022. How do you solve the perfect equation? Add one sharp-tongued mathematician to an aloof, handsome nobleman. Divide by conflicting loyalties and multiply by a daring group of women hell-bent on conducting their scientific experiments. The solution is a romance that will break every rule. 6 years ago, Miss Letitia Fenley made a mistake, and she's lived with the consequences ever since. Readying herself to compete for the prestigious Rosewood Prize for Mathematics, she is suddenly asked to take on another responsibility, managing Athena's Retreat, a secret haven for England's women scientists. Having spent the last 6 years on her own, Letty doesn't want the offers of friendship from other club members and certainly doesn't need any help from insufferably attractive Lord Greycliffe. Lord William Hughes, the Viscount Greycliffe, cannot afford to make any mistakes. His lifelong dream of becoming the director of a powerful clandestine agency is within his grasp. Tasked with helping Letty safeguard Athena's retreat, Grey is positive that he can control the antics of the various scientists as well as manage the tiny mathematician, despite their historic animosity and simmering tension. As Grey and Letty are forced to work together, their mutual dislike turns to admiration and eventually something magnetic. When faced with the possibility that Athena's retreat will close forever, they must make a choice. Will Grey turn down a chance to change history, or can Letty get to the root of the problem and prove that love is the ultimate answer?
I just really like women in fun, historical jobs, shall we say, or things like that. So I love this idea of this society. I didn't actually read the first one. What was it called? Oh my God, I can see the cover in my head. A Lady's Formula for Love or something like that. I think was the first book in the series, and I didn't read it, but I really want to. So I have a lot on my TBR.
I love this idea, especially Athena's Retreat and the lady scientists. I mean, like, who doesn't?
Mm-hmm. So next on our list, we have the first in a new series by Eva Lee, and it's called The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes, and it was published on February 22nd, 2022. When Kieran Ransom's latest antics result in a massive scandal, his father issues an ultimatum: find a respectable wife or inherit nothing. But as one of London's most inveterate scoundrels, Kieran doesn't know any ladies who fit the bill. Or does he? Celeste Kilburn is a society darling, beloved by influential members of the ton. But keeping a spotless reputation leaves little room for adventure, and she longs to escape her gilded cage, especially with her impending engagement to a stuffy Earl. When Kieran, her older brother's best friend, and an irresistibly attractive rogue, begs for her help, Celeste makes the deal. She'll introduce him to the right social circles if he'll show her the scandalous side of London. In between proper teas and garden parties, Kieran escorts Celeste, disguised as Salome, to rowdy gaming hells, wild fetes, and sensual art salons. As they spend more time together, their initial attraction builds to a desperate desire that neither can ignore. But when someone discovers their midnight exploits, Celeste's freedom and reputation are endangered, and Kieran must save the woman he loves, respectable or not.
Ooh.
This one has a lot of tropes in it.
That's a lot of tropes, I will say. But I always love a rogue and a society darling needing to team up. I always like when the rogues let them discover the wicked ways of London.
Yes. So, and the disguise and the brother's best friend. I mean, there's just there's so much to love in that. And I really do love this, this quote unquote perfect girl, just scrambling to break out of her, as they said in the description, gilded cage. I do enjoy that.
Yes, I do too. All right. But I also really want to read I Want You to Want Me. Sorry. I Want You to Want Me by Shanna Gallen. The Survivors number 12, which will be out or is out
today as we're recording this.
March 8th, 2022.
Now, I will just say before you read the description, I do my best not to put like number 12 in a series here. And this admittedly is the last book in this series. But we did one of the books in this series earlier on the podcast. And it was one of my favorite books. And this whole series was like, it just was an absolute standout to me. So like everybody needs to read this series. So
Zoe has spoken. Book. Get to it.
Start with this book.
The last book is out.
But there's a complete series for you, so get reading.
A Cruel Twist of Fate. Nicholas St. Clair, youngest son of the Marquis of Averstow, was an avid horseman until his legs were crushed on the battlefield. The injury sent him home to England a broken man. Ashamed of his injury, he becomes a virtual recluse on his country estate until his mother, the Dowager Marchioness, insists he marry. Nicholas doesn't want a bride who would be shackled to his broken body and privately despise him for being a cripple. He hates his weakness and doesn't believe anyone can see past it. A Stroke of Good Luck. Amelia Blackstock has always followed her family motto. A Blackstock doesn't run from trouble. It runs from us. Unfortunately, trouble caught up with her, and when the world finds out, she'll be ruined. When Lord Nicholas stumbles upon her sobbing, he tries to comfort her. His kindness backfires when they are discovered alone together, and Amelia faces even more scandal. Nicholas offers to marry her, but only if she'll agree to a separate bedchamber. A happily ever after in jeopardy. Amelia concedes to a platonic marriage, but as her feelings for Lord Nicholas grows, she wants more. Nicholas is drawn to Amelia as well, but he fears risking it all by revealing the ugly truth of his injury. When Nicholas's brother-in-arms arrive for a house party, it seems everything that can go wrong does. Between a lost pet pig, a fugitive wanted for treason, and a night of drinking gone awry, Nicholas and Amelia grow further apart. Nicholas is the last of the survivors. Will he be the only one without a happily ever after?
Of course he won't. This is romance. But yes, I'm really excited about this book. We know very little about Nicholas because he's been a bit of a recluse. So he's kind of shown up in the series the least, I would say. And I like the premise. I'm interested to see how it plays out. And as I said, I had it pre-ordered. It arrived on my Nook today, and I will probably be reading it tonight.
Oh, yeah. Love it when a plan comes together.
So the next book is a bit of a long read here because it is an anthology. It's called Big Duke Energy.
Love it. Love it. Love a punny title.
So good. And this has novellas by Kerrigan Byrne, Christy Caldwell, Amelia Howard, Yana McGregor, and Stacey Reed. And that is due to come out on March 29th, 2022. So it says that Big Duke Energy is all brand new content where beloved secondary characters are granted their second chances at long-awaited happily ever afters. So if you like any of these authors, here is your chance to hear about some characters that you might have wondered about. So the first one is The Earl on the Train by Kerrigan Byrne. Sebastian Moncrief is a villain, a traitor, and a pirate who has recently inherited an earldom he never wanted. As a man who's committed every sin imaginable, he knows his only chance at redemption is the one woman who's ever reached through to his soul of ice. He's kidnapped Veronica Latimer once before and was enchanted by everything about her. This time when he takes her, he'll have to admit that she's kept his heart captive since the moment they met. But can he convince her to forgive his past in order to claim a future? The second is Loved and Found by Christy Caldwell. Lieutenant Thaddeus Phippen has lived a lifetime away from the only love he's ever knew, a powerful duke's daughter. He's now returned from fighting Bonnie's forces, ready to put aside tragic battlefield remembrances and the memory of past heartbreak of love lost. Or that was the plan, until Thaddeus finds himself face to face with the one woman he soon finds he can't ever forget. Is the divide between former lovers too great to forge a future together, or can they at last have a love to last a lifetime? Then we've got The Wolf of Westmore by Amelie Howard. Lord Wulfric Bane, the Duke of Westmore, knows that blood is thicker than water, that duty is more important than personal desire, and that some things, like falling in love, are never meant to be. Cosseted and coddled, Lady Jocelyn Capehart has been bred to be the perfect lady. On the outside she is demure, sweet, and biddable, but on the inside a vixen longs to break free of her cage. A chance meeting at a sultry club leads to one sinfully explosive night that neither of them can forget. That sounds like a fun, fast one.
That is very exciting.
Next, we have Put Up Your Dukes by Yana McGregor. Martin Duke Richmond bows to no one, including any duke, who protests what he publishes in his sensational gossip rag, The Midnight Crier. Estranged from her husband for 5 years because of the incendiary gossip he spews, Amelia Richmond has made a life for herself, smoothing, quote, marital problems with society's most powerful couples. Her business faces ruin when her husband, Martin, goes on a rampage against one of the most powerful dukes in the British Isles. Using her best persuasive techniques to rein in Martin, Amelia finds herself falling for him once again, which is bad, very bad. So that's a fun one because it's a second chance romance. Like they're already married and they're actually like reconciling. I know a lot of people really like that trope and it's not that easy to find.
No, it's not. I've read a few really good ones and they were really super good. So it's exciting.
And finally, we have Duke of Every Sin by Stacey Reid. Ethan Benedict, Duke of Bainbridge, has been an object of fear, fascination, and salacious gossip for years. To many, his reputation would make him an unlikely savior of a baby left on his doorstep. But Ethan saw the child as perhaps a pathway to redemption. What he did not anticipate was for his jaded heart to soften toward the mysterious young woman who infiltrates his household and secretly cares for the child.
Whoa.
I know. That one has intrigue in a novella.
That's very intriguing. I'm fascinated.
Yeah, so that sounds like a really fun one. And I think also great to add to my soon to read, because when you're in a reading slump, sometimes like little novellas can be really great to just kind of get you going again.
Absolutely. And it looks like you've got an anthology with a lot of good ones in there.
Yes. And it's so great, too, to have like some authors that you know and love, and then to have some authors that maybe you haven't read as much of their stuff of.
Yeah. Our next book is something we've read a lot of stuff of. It is How to Be a Wallflower by Eloisa James. First in the Would-Be Wallflower series, and that is expected at the end of the month, March 29th, 2022. Miss Cleopatra Lewis is about to be launched in society by her aristocratic grandfather, but since she has no intention of marrying, she visits a costume emporium specifically to order unflattering dresses guaranteed to put off any prospective suitors. Powerful and charismatic Jacob Astor Addison is in London acquiring businesses to add to his theatrical holdings in America, as well as buying an emerald for a young lady back in Boston. He's furious when a she-devil masquerading as an English lady steals Quimby's costume emporium from under his nose. Jake strikes a devil's bargain, offering to design her wallflower wardrobe and giving Cleo the chance to design his. Cleo can't resist the fun of clothing the rough-hewn American in feathers and flowers, and somehow in the middle of their lively competition, Jake becomes her closest friend. It isn't until Cleo becomes the toast of all society that Jake recognizes she's stolen his fiercely guarded heart. But unlike the nobleman at her feet, he doesn't belong in her refined and cultured world. Caught between the demands of honor and desire, Jake would give up everything to be with the woman he loves, if she'll have him.
So I love Eloisa James, but I'll be honest, I'm a little hesitant about this one. And it's because a lot of the tropes aren't my favorite tropes. So listeners, I'm curious what you guys think about this one. And I guess maybe I'm also worried because like if she's, doing a wardrobe to detract people away from her, like, and become a wallflower or whatever it is. I'm not sure exactly which tact. I'm like, is it going to be very similar to how Jane, the Feather Heiress, did it in Courtney Milan's The Heiress Effect, which is just a book I hold very dear to me. So like, and I always like the American guy just like never, that's not something that I see in a trope and go like, yes, that's what I want to read. It's more just like, I've enjoyed it. Like, for example, in Bombshell, I really enjoyed Caleb Calhoun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how did I remember that name? So I'm really interested. I think the last couple Eloisa James books have been perfectly wonderful, but just haven't like really hit it for me. So I'm really interested to see where this one goes.
See, I, on the other hand, think this might be like a fun little romp because I'm already like envisioning like a costume montage where, you know, they're like trying on the outfits and being like, this one? No. Okay, what about this one? You know, so I'm already having fun with this.
Excellent. Well, we will read it and find out. So next we have Fiona and the Enigmatic Earl by Grace Calloway. And this is Lady Charlotte's Society of Angels number 3. And the expected publication of this one is May 5th, 2022. And I don't think I've actually read any Grace Calloway, which is a shame and something I should rectify very soon. But this one caught my attention because of the description. So I am excited to share it with you all. She is a member of a secret society of lady investigators. He is a spy for the crown. Both want a marriage of convenience as a cover for their true activities. What could go wrong? Mr. and Mrs. Smith, anybody?
I was going to say, spy on spy. Spy versus spy.
When her overprotective family discovers the true nature of her, quote, charity work and forbids her from undertaking future investigations, spirited debutante Fiona Garrity decides that marriage is her surest way to freedom. All she needs is an accommodating and preferably not too perceptive husband with his own hobbies so that he will not interfere with hers. Fate puts her into the path of an eligible peer who happens to be a scholarly widower known for taking long trips for his research. He would be perfect if only his gray eyes were not quite so magnetic, and his virile nearness didn't affect her in such a stimulating manner. After the death of his first wife, Thomas Morgan, the Earl of Hawksmoor, is torn between his duty to remarry and produce an heir and his true passion, his exciting work as an agent of the crown. Destiny gives him the perfect solution in the form of a beautiful debutante who professes to want a convenient marriage. She would be an impeccable choice, if only her heavenly gaze didn't seem to lay bare his desires and her delectable form didn't tempt him to unleash his darkest instincts. On Fiona and Hawk's wedding night, sparks turn into a conflagration that takes them both by surprise. Their marriage is further complicated when a dangerous case brings them into shocking contact, and they must battle not only a deadly enemy, but the pull of seduction and desire. Will they conquer deception and fear to win their happily ever after?
Into it.
Yeah, it just seems like a fun one, and I want to give it a try.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I also just really like a spy book. I think they're fun.
Me too.
The next one is one I am definitely looking forward to because I was wondering about this the other day and I wanted to look it up, but luckily Zoe looked it up for me. So number 9 on our list is Crying Wolf by Kerrigan Byrne, Good Girls number 5. And that is expected May 10th, 2022. Elijah Wolfe is just as ruthless as his name suggests. Born in the slums of New York to immigrant parents, he used his sharp wits and sharper fists to fight for survival. One day he struck gold, literally, but being one of the richest men in the world still leaves his heart empty of trust and his world full of enemies. Birthed into scandal, Rosalind Good is having the worst season possible. Women gossip behind their fans, and men don't offer a dance, let alone marriage. Just as she's beginning to find a foothold in society, she's caught nearly naked in the home of the famously unscrupulous American whose name is on everyone's lips. Her lips, however, have captured his dangerous interest, and Rosalind finds his kiss impossible to resist. That is, until she learns that he is her family's most bitter enemy, and his quest for revenge leaves no room in his dark heart for love.
I have a feeling he might find a little room.
I think so, too. You know, those good girls can't, they demand a lot.
I have so enjoyed that series. It was such a surprise delight. I mean, it shouldn't have been a surprise, but like I just picked it up, you know, one evening sort of thing, like, oh, a new Kerrigan Byrne, and just like gobbled up all of them right away.
Oh, I did too. And I loved every moment of them. And I'm really excited for this one because I was thinking about it and I was like, I need a short, delicious one. Has Kerrigan Byrne's Good Girls #5 come out yet?
Not quite, but it's on its way.
Yay!
So next we have How to Steal a Scoundrel's Heart by Vivian Lorette. And this is the Mating Habits of Scoundrels #4.
Yay!
And this is expected May 24th, 2022. Ruined debutante Prudence Thorogood lost everything when she was ousted from polite society, including her inheritance. Now she'll do anything to take back what's hers, even if she has to steal it. Accepting a scandalous offer from Lord Savage seems like the perfect solution to disguise her criminal intentions from the ton, until she discovers that there's more to this scoundrel than meets the eye. Leo Ramsgate, the Marquess of Savage, has everything except for a heart. That organ dried up long ago after a devastating betrayal. Since then, he vowed never to trust or love again. He ensures that his dalliances are mutually satisfying, but always temporary, until he meets the reserved Miss Thorogood. None of his previous lovers has ever beguiled him the way she does. Not one has made him want to break his own rules. Not one has tempted him to keep her forever. Prue has every intention of disappearing from London after their affair ends, but her plan falters when she finds herself falling hopelessly in love with a man who may never love her in return. With time running out and so much at stake, she cannot help but wonder how to steal a scoundrel's heart. Movie title in the trailer.
Love it. I've read all these other ones and I really love them, so
yay!
I'm excited for this one.
Well, I am extra excited for the next book because it features a trans heroine, and that is not something I think we've ever gotten in historical romance, at least I would say popular historical romance, so I am excited to read this book.
Yes, so this is A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall, and that is expected on May 24th, 2022. A lush and sweeping queer historical romance from the best-selling author of Boyfriend Material, perfect for fans of Netflix Bridgerton, Evie Dunmore, and Manda Collins. When Viola Carroll was presumed dead at Waterloo, she took the opportunity to live, at last, as herself. But freedom does not come without a price, and Viola paid for hers with the loss of her wealth, her title, and her closest companion, Justin de Vere, the Duke of Gracewood. Only when their families reconnect years after the war does Viola learn how deep that loss truly was. Shattered without her, Gracewood has retreated so far into grief that Viola barely recognizes her old friend in the lonely, brooding man he has become. As Viola strives to bring Gracewood back to himself, fresh desire give new names to old feelings. Feelings that would have been impossible once, and may be impossible still, but which Viola cannot deny, even if they cost her everything, all over again. Ooh, I like it.
I know. I'm so excited. Again, like I said, Alexis Hall's website made me just so excited for his writing, and I really cannot believe that I get to read 2 of his queer works this year in historical romance. Like, so fun, so great, so exciting. But since we're about halfway through our list and the year, I think we could use a short cool down from all this excitement. So, shall we adjourn to the parlor?
We shall.
So today, it's been a while and we're now in 2022. So I thought this was the perfect time to remind you all about the historical romance retreat of 2022, which is happening in San Diego, California at the magical historical Westgate Hotel.
Yay! This is really exciting because, like, when we first started talking about this last year, it was so far away, and now it's actually 2022, and things are happening really fast because, you know, it's like March already, and
yeah, and things are feeling possible again. You know, I think that a lot of people who don't have children, I would say, or immunocompromised relatives. I think a lot of us are feeling that, our risk level maybe is a little higher, and we can do more things, and that's wonderful. And I can't wait for my kid to be vaccinated so that I can feel similarly. However, I expect, if the timeline happens as it looks, that in September and October of this year, I hope my kid will be partially, if not all the way vaccinated. And that's when this retreat is happening.
Yes. As a reminder, it is a fabulous event where you get to step back in time with your favorite authors. You'll get to join some of the world's most celebrated authors of historical romance coming together for an intimate gathering that gives every guest a chance to mingle and play. The retreat runs September 28th through October 2nd, 2022.
And today I wanted to, as best I can, run through the authors that will be attending this retreat, because maybe that will get you as excited as we are about it. So here they are. We have Jennifer Ashley, Alexa Aston, Celeste Barclay, Casey Bateman, Bethany Bennett, Chastity Boland, Tracy Brogan, Kerrigan Byrne, Gina Dana, Tessa Dare, Barbara Devlin, Eileen Dreyer, Gillian Eaton, Elizabeth Essex, Sherry Ewing, Mary Farmer, Catherine Grant, Anna Harrington, Virginia Heath, Amelie Howard, Sabrina Jeffries, Julie Johnstone, Sahara Kelly, Caroline Lee, Jade Lee, Catherine Levesque, Caroline Linden, Nicole Locke, TJ London, Anna Markland, Deb Marlowe, Amanda McCabe, Heather McCollum, Hildy McQueen, Rebecca Paula, Mira Platt, Rachel Ann Smith, Heather Snow, Catherine Stein, C.A. Sarzak, Caroline Warfield, Mary Wine. And also attending, there are 25 others on the list. Maybe we will feature them another time. I think I've said enough authors for this ad read.
That was so impressive, Zoe. That was a lot of authors. You read that really fast, and I'm super impressed.
I did my best. But anyhow, there's so many great authors that I love on that list, at so many other authors that I haven't yet read, but have on my TBR, and then a whole bunch of authors I don't yet know. And all three layers of that are super exciting.
Yes. So tickets are on sale now, and you can also go to the free day on Saturday, which is the Great Book Exhibition, which is the book signing and historical fair open to the public. It's a chance to purchase books and have them signed by your favorite authors. Lots of free goodies and fun. So you don't want to miss this if you can't go to the rest of the retreat. But imagine how much fun the rest of the retreat is going to be if that's just the day they open to the public.
Yes. And again, this retreat runs September 28th through October 2nd, 2022. And you can learn more and register by visiting bit.ly/HRR2022 today.
And if you want to chat to us about anything, you can email us at romancepod@gmail.com. And you can find us on social media at Twitter and Instagram as T as in Tom, N as in Nancy Strumpets, Facebook /T and Strumpets, and YouTube by searching our name.
And I will say also that if you're looking for a way to support us, one great way to support us would be to subscribe to us on YouTube. We're getting very close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And when that happens, that unlocks some other opportunities for us to possibly monetize our YouTube. And we get a lot of listeners who come to us for our Bridgerton stuff. And that might be a great way to help us help support the show. So again, if you go to YouTube and search our name, we will come right up, and just click that subscribe button. All right, so now we are back with our list, and number 12 is the book I think I was most excited for coming out this year before I started this list. Now that I've, done the list and found all these other books, it's really hard to say I'm the most excited for this one, but it's in the top 3 because I just am. So this is A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera. And this is Las Leonas #1. And it is expected May 31st, 2022. So Paris, 1889. The Exposition Universelle is underway, drawing merchants from every corner of the globe. Luzolana Heath Benzan set sail from Santo Domingo armed with 300 casks of rum, her 2 best friends, and one simple rule. Under no circumstances is she to fall in love. The City of Light is where Luzolana will expend Caña Brava, the rum business her family built over 3 generations. It's a mission that's taken on new urgency after her father's untimely death and the news that her trust fund won't be released until she marries. But buyers and shippers alike are rude and dismissive. They can't imagine doing business with a woman, never mind a woman of color. From her first tempestuous meeting with James Evanston Sinclair, the Earl of Darnick, Luzolana is conflicted. Why is this man, this titled Scottish man, so determined to help her? And why, honestly, is he so infuriatingly charming? All Evan Sinclair ever wanted was to find a purpose away from his father's dirty money and dirtier politics. Ignoring his title, he's built a whiskey brand that's his biggest and only passion. That is, until he's confronted with a Spanish-speaking force of nature who turns his life upside down. Evan quickly suspects he'll want Luzolana with him forever. Every day with her makes the Earl wish for more than her magnificent kisses or the marriage of convenience that might save them both. But Luzolana sailed for Paris with her eyes on liquor, money, and new beginnings. She wasn't prepared for love to find her. So I am so excited for this book. I am so excited for Adriana Herrera to be writing a historical and a diverse historical, own voices. This is just so great.
This is really exciting and such a fascinating concept. Definitely not one that we typically see. I mean, we hear about female business owners, but like this is much more like on a world stage and much more culturally diverse, as well as like just sounds really exciting.
I am.
Me too. Our next book to be pumped about is The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes by Kat Sebastian, The Queer Principles of Kit Webb, #2. And this is expected out June 7th, 2022. Marion Hayes, the Duchess of Clare, just shot her husband. Of course, the evil, murderous man deserved what was coming to him, but now she must flee to the countryside. Unfortunately, the only person she can ask for help is the charismatic criminal who is blackmailing her, and who she may have left tied up a few hours before. A highwayman, con artist, and all-around cheerful villain, Rob Brooks is no stranger to the wrong side of the law or the right side of anybody's bed. He never meant to fall for the woman whose secrets he's promised to keep for the low price of £500. But how could he resist someone who led him on a merry chase all over London, left him tied up in a seedy inn, and then arrived covered in her husband's blood and in desperate need of his help? As they flee across the country, stopping to pick pockets, drink to excess, and rescue invalid cats, they discover more true joy and peace than either has felt in ages. But when the truth of Rob's past catches up to him, they must decide if they are willing to reshape their lives in order to forge a future together.
I just love how that whole thing made me chuckle.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh, there's a lot going on in there, but that's really exciting.
Yes, and I love Kat Sebastian's tendency to write 2 idiots who just need to get out of their own way to fall in love. I mean, it's just like she does it in the most charming way, and it delights me every time.
Yes, I agree.
So next we have a new book by Stacey Reed called A Matter of Temptation. It is the first in a new series called A Matter of Temptation #1, and it is expected June 28th, 2022. And it has a beautiful cover, but no info on it yet. So I just love Stacey's books. They're always super steamy and smart, so I'm looking forward to a new release from her, but we don't have any information on it yet.
Wah, wah, wah. However, we do have information on this next one, which is You Were Made to Be Mine by Julie Ann Long, The Palace of Rogues #5, which is expected out June 28th, 2022. The mission: to find the Earl of Brundage's runaway fiancée in exchange for a fortune. Child's play for legendary British former spy master Christian Hawkes. The catch: Hawke knows in his brain that Brundage is the traitor to England who landed him in a brutal French prison. Hawkes is destitute, the Earl is desperate, and a bargain is struck. Fleeing a savagely shattered dream, the sheltered Lady Orly Capet finds refuge in an alias and the warmth and kindness of the Grand Palace on the Thames, until a gorgeous, mysterious disturbance to her peace literally topples through the door. An unexpected fierce desire that feels destined, dangerous, and devastatingly sweet ignites between the sheltered beauty and the jaded spy, and as they slowly unravel each other's shocking secrets, Hawks closes in on the truth about the Earl. Soon it's clear they can have no future without vanquishing the past. Hawks knows that loving her means avenging her. Orly knows that loving Hawks means freeing him to do that, no matter the cost.
I am currently reading the book before this, number 4 of The Palace of the Rogues. And I can't remember what Julianne Long said when we interviewed her, if number 4 or number 5 of The Palace of Rogues she thought was the best book that she had written, maybe to date, or she was most proud of. But anyhow, number 4, I am loving currently, and I am really excited also for number 5. Again, we've got spies, we've got deception plots, and how many, animal names do we have on this list? I think this is the second hawk that we've had so far on this list, and I think we've had a couple wolves.
Yeah.
So
that's great. I just also love the characters that she keeps bringing to the Grand Palace on the Thames. Plus you've got the great supporting cast that is the Boarders.
Oh, so good. I'm having a lot of fun with my current read. So next, we have Nobody's Princess by Erica Ridley, and this is the Wild Winchesters number 3, and I really enjoyed the Wild Winchesters number 1. I have yet to read number 2.
I really enjoyed number 2.
Yay! I'm so excited. That one's The Perks of Loving a Wallflower. That's a female.
Mm-hmm.
I am super jazzed to read it. Just, again, had a bit of a reading slump, but my pile is large, and so we'll see how quickly I get through it. So again, the Winchesters series is based on the TV show Leverage. So if you know and like that show, that'll give you an idea of kind of what to expect with the series. So this book is expected to be published on July 26th, 2022. And this is a Black hero and heroine, and it is an absolutely gorgeous cover. So you can take a look at our blog, our accompanying blog post, to see all of the covers of these books, by the way.
Which is good, because Zoe just keeps telling you how great they are.
And we'll be sure to link to that in the show notes. So, nothing happens in London without Graham Winchester knowing. His massive collection of intelligence is invaluable to his family's mission of aiding those most in need. So when he deciphers a series of coded messages in the scandal sheets, Graham's convinced he must come to a royal's rescue. But his quarry turns out not to be a princess at all. The captivating Cunegonde de Huish is anything but a damsel in distress, and the last thing she wants is Graham's help. All her life, Cooney trained alongside the fiercest royal guardsmen in her family, secretly planning to become her country's first royal guardswoman. The mission in London is a chance to prove herself worthy without help from a man, not even one as devilishly handsome as Graham. To her surprise, Graham believes in her dream as much as she does, which makes it harder to resist kissing him and falling in love. But how can she risk her heart if her future lies an ocean away?
Oh, I want to read this so bad now.
I am really excited, and it comes out in July, so there is plenty of time to catch up and read the rest of the Winchester series before then. Now, a quick note before you read the next one, Kelsey. This is an author that neither of us have read yet, but I looked really hard to find a female historical, and as many people know, there are just a lot less female romance novels published than male. So unfortunately, the pool is smaller. But this was one that, first of all, was the first in a series, and second of all, sounded interesting. So I wanted to include it on our list.
Excellent. So this book is The Inconvenient Heiress by Jane Walsh. The Spinsters of Inverley, number 1. Expected out August 15th, 2022. In the quiet seaside town of Inverley, nothing exciting ever happens to gently bred spinsters like Miss Arabella Seton. Content with her watercolor paintings and her cats, she is confident that no one suspects her forbidden and unrequited passion for her best friend Caroline. The eldest in a family of 6 children, Miss Caroline Reeve has the unenviable task of shepherding her siblings into adulthood with little coin and even less patience. The only benefit to being an eternal chaperone is that no one ever expects her to marry. When the Reeve family inherits an unexpected fortune, Caroline must take her rightful place in high society. Fortune hunters abound, and it is up to Arabella to save her from their snares and convince her that love has been in front of her all along. Can the heiress and the spinster discover an unconventional love outside the marriage mart?
I feel like they just might.
Yes. That's a fun one. That's kind of like a best friends from home kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really like the description of Arabella in the beginning, her watercolors and her cats.
Yeah.
I like that. I feel like I know her already.
Love it.
And next, we have an eagerly anticipated book. This is Heartbreaker by Sarah MacLean, Hell's Bells #2. And unfortunately, we have to wait all the way until, at the very least, August 23rd, 2022. A princess of thieves. Raised among London's most notorious criminals, a twist of fate landed Adelaide Frampton in the bright ballrooms of Mayfair, where she masquerades as a quiet wallflower, so plain and unassuming that no one realizes she's the matchbreaker, using her superior skills as a thief to help brides avoid the altar. A king of reputation. Henry, Duke of Claiborne, has spent a lifetime living in perfection. He has no time for the salacious gossip that arrives every time the matchbreaker ends another groom. His own reputation is impeccable, and the last thing he needs is a frustrating, fascinating woman discovering the truth of his past or the secrets he holds close. A royal match. When the two find themselves on a breakneck journey across Britain to stop a wedding, it's impossible for Claiborne to resist the woman who both frustrates and fascinates him. But late-night carriage rides make for delicious danger, and soon Adelaide is discovering Claiborne's truths, throwing his well-laid plans into chaos, and threatening to steal his heavily guarded heart.
Well, that's exciting.
Yes, and the cover is out for this one, and it is just as fun as Bombshell was, So again, check it out on our blog if you're interested, or, Google.
I also love, a breakneck carriage ride through England's countryside.
I do too. It's like only one bed because there's only one carriage. So
yeah.
And there's so many
fun things you can get up to in a carriage.
So many. I mean, it's really bumpy in reality, but it's not as bumpy.
Yeah,
in the book.
no, but still, all good. Oh my gosh. And this is really exciting because number 19 is The Gentleman's Gambit by Evie Dunmore, A League of Extraordinary Women #4, which is expected out September 2022.
There is no blurb for this book yet. There is no cover released for this book yet. But there is a little bit of information from an interview with Evie Dunmore.
Okay, and this interview was in May 2021, and it says, this little blurb says, this is Goodreads user Brooke, posted in May 2021. Y'all, breaking news, Katrina is not going to end up with Peregrine. Ha! I am shooketh. A quote from Evie in a French interview. You have the info in preview. Peregrine will not be the hero of Katrina. I hope to give him his own story when the series is over because he is adorable and dear to my heart. But that's also the case with Katrina, and she told me that her happy ending was elsewhere. This was translated from French.
So yes, we shall see what that means.
But I'm really excited that Peregrine might have his own book because he's so fun.
I know. I fell in love with Peregrine in the first book. I think he even makes an appearance. And
I know. And you and I were like, is this going to happen? And Evie's like, I haven't even thought about that. And we're like, ugh.
I know.
I'm sure I'm going to love it because I've loved all the other ones.
Absolutely. So number 20 on our list, we're getting there, is The Belle of Belgrave Square by Mimi Matthews. Again, I have not yet read a Mimi Matthews, and we have 2 Mimi Matthews on this list, so I better get reading. This is The Bells of London number 2, and it's expected October 11th, 2022. And I was, again, seduced by the cover of this one, and then the description kept me interested. So here we go. A London heiress rides out to the wilds of the English countryside to honor a marriage of convenience with a mysterious and reclusive stranger. Tall, dark, and dour, the notorious Captain Jasper Blunt was once hailed a military hero, but tales abound of his bastard children and his haunted estate in Yorkshire. What he requires now is a rich wife to ornament his isolated ruin, and he has his sights set on the enchanting Julia Witchwood. For Julia, an incurable romantic cursed with a crippling social anxiety, navigating a London ballroom is absolute torture. The only time Julia feels any degree of confidence is when she's on her horse. Unfortunately, a young lady can't spend the whole of her life in the saddle, so Julia makes an impetuous decision to take her future by the reins. She proposes to Captain Blunt. In exchange for her dowry and her hand, Jasper must promise to grant her freedom to do as she pleases, to ride and to read as much as she likes without masculine interference. He readily agrees to her conditions with one provision of his own. Julia is forbidden from going into the tower rooms of his estate and snooping around his affairs. But the more she learns of the beastly former hero, the more intrigued she becomes.
Well, of course you're interested in it. It's a Beauty and the Beast novel, Zoe.
It is. I know, I'm so transparent. I couldn't help myself. As I'm reading it, I'm like, it's horses and reading and Beauty and the Beast. It's everything.
It's everything Zoe's ever wanted and more.
So, yeah, again, lots to read this year.
Yeah, as well as Never Cross a Highlander by Lisa Rain, Shadow Lairds, number 1, expected out December 27th, 2022. And it says, from author Lisa Rain comes an Own Voices historical mashup of Dirty Harry in a kilt with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This banter-laden historical romance proves kilts have never been more fun. Apparently there's a handsome black Highlander on the cover.
Mm-hmm. And this was originally expected December 2021. So now it's been pushed back all the way to December 2022. I am hopeful we will get it, but we'll find out.
Yes, fingers crossed.
So, our final book to tell you about today is called Make My Wish Come True, and it is an anthology, and it is expected in fall of 2022. There's a really loud plane outside my window right now, guys. I'm so sorry if there's some weird background noise. So, the reason that we wanted to highlight this anthology, first of all, I don't know the other authors in it, but the reason is author Eva Lee will be including the Hanukkah historical novella that she's mentioned in the past in this anthology. So I reached out to her and she told us that the anthology is all about coming home from the war. And she doesn't yet have a title chosen for her story or a blurb yet, but we will be sure to update you all when those details are available. And the anthology is slated to come out in fall of 2022. So again, we'll share details of the release as soon as we know them.
Well, that's so exciting. There's another Hanukkah novella coming out.
Yes, and I think we could call this Own Voices as she has some Jewish heritage, although I suppose I shouldn't speak for her, and I'm sure that there will be more information that comes out about that when we have more information about the book. I am just excited because I think she's going to do a fabulous job with a Hanukkah historical. And when we featured a couple of those on the shows, we've been hoping for another. So maybe we'll have that this year.
Yes, very exciting. So we've gone through a lot this year, but what did we miss? Any indie authors or big ones you're excited for? Any other books that maybe aren't historical romance that either you or you think fellow listeners are be interested in? Let us know. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, we've kind of been out of the scene, taking a break for a few months. So I feel like we've missed a bunch of chatter, that kind of stuff. So let us know. We just love hearing from you guys.
So while we can't wait to see all the books that are coming out in 2022, we do know what we're reading next time.
Yes, next time we are headed back to Maiden Lane, and we are reading Maiden Lane number 3, Scandalous Desires. So that is Silence's book. If you guys remember that, it's been a while since we've been on Maiden Lane, but Silence and Charming Mickey the Pirate. So that's going to be a fun one. We actually recorded this long before our break, so we've had it just kind of ready to edit. So I will go back and edit that, and hopefully we don't say anything super past worthy in that one, but we'll see. And I think
I mentioned my eminent move. My imminent move, yes, I should say.
Yes. Well, so there'll be a little bit of a timeline warp there, but I think you guys will be able to follow along.
Yes.
Well, thank you all so much for listening, and thanks for, hanging in there with us. We're really excited about everything that 2022 has to bring, and join us next time as we read Scandalous Desires by Elizabeth Hoyt.
And may all your ever afters end happily.